Hi guys, hey, I thought I would do another Bachelorette update. I did this right before the season really began after the first premiere episode, and I did so good, if I do say so myself. I know a lot of people were like, you read the cheat thing. Whatever, think what you want, but I actually read them one year and it ruined the whole season for me and it ended up being wrong, and I was like, oh my god, now I'm annoyed. So I literally don't read them. I don't want people to tell me. I've just been watching the show for so long now that I feel like I know every season. I mean, the last, oh my god, I don't know, 4 or 5, maybe 6 seasons, I've guessed it right. So really early on too. So I'm doing pretty well so far. My top 4 were Eric, Dean, Bryan, and Peter. I knew Dean wasn't gonna make it. I said that in that other video, so you can watch that if you haven't seen it already. So I knew Dean wasn't gonna be the guy that Rachel chose because he's just too young and I love him. Like, I really adore him, but he was too closed off, I think. Really excited to see him on Paradise though. I hate Bryan, if you didn't already know that from the beginning. In the beginning I didn't necessarily hate him, but I did say I thought he was slimy, I thought he was too charming, and I thought his kisses were gross. And as the season has progressed, I've only thought his kisses have gotten more disgusting or horribly, like, whoa, gross. Oh my god, like, oh god. I feel like kissing him would be what it feels like when you're maybe in high school and you're like, oh my god, this charming college guy is so interested in me, let me make out with him, and he thinks he's like all cocky and charming and smooth, and then he's like the world's worst kisser. That's what Bryan reminds me of. I think that her family was really smart to kind of question him. I know she got mad about it, and I know in seasons past the guy that the family doesn't like is the one that gets picked, and that's annoying. And whether it's a guy or a girl, I've noticed this in a few seasons lately. I don't know if that's ABC's producers doing or if that's just like the way it is. I'm really hoping that means she's not gonna pick Bryan. I know that with her friends it seemed like it went well, but with Bryan I honestly was just so grossed out by the entire situation. Every time he's on screen I feel uncomfortable, I feel weirded out, I feel like he is so slimy. He's like a car salesman or something. Like, I'm not sure what it is. He's like a cross between Ross Geller and I don't know, someone really slimy that I don't like at all. He just seems so fake, overly charming. He has an answer for everything. It seems very rehearsed. He seems very not genuine. The reason that I like Eric and Peter so much is that they, although might have difficulty sometimes expressing themselves, like Eric, a lot of the times what he says doesn't really make sense. I do think he is very genuine, but I do think he's a little bit inexperienced, so that's why he's having such a hard time. It still comes across as so genuine. Even if he doesn't know exactly how he feels or can't put it into words, I think he thinks he's feeling that way. So even if he's wrong, he's still being true to what he believes. And I think that the way that Bryan talks is so fake, and so I want to win. I won over her family. This was a success. Things like that. He can't, it just sounds very like I want to win, and he's so pro engagement. Yes, like, so I'm not gonna let you ruin this. Like, if a guy said that to me when I was questioning his being genuine, I'd be annoyed and turned off, to be completely honest. And obviously she likes his confidence and his aggressiveness or whatever, but he just grosses me out. I don't think he's gonna make it, and if he does, I will be really mad. But to be honest, he reminds me a little bit of Josh Murray. I remember on Andy's season it was between Josh and Nick. Back when everyone hated Nick, I still actually quite liked Nick then. She could choose between Wisconsin guy and Nick, and creepy, too charming guy who has dark hair, and that's what this season is reminding me of. And it's another lawyer. I really hope she doesn't pick him. I hope she learns from Andy's mistakes, because obviously Josh ended up being terrible. Honestly, I swear if Bryan doesn't get chosen, which I hope he doesn't, and he ends up on Paradise, I feel like he is going to become a real dick, if I'm being completely honest. I just don't like him. I find him so fake, and I know a lot of people agree with me because every time I tweet about it, they retweet me or like it. I know there are some people who are pro Bryan, but I think that those people just have a bad judge of character. Everyone knows I love Peter. He is my all-time favorite from day one. He's just so genuine, and he is definitely the most tuned into Rachel, and I feel like those are the people that have the marriages from the show that last, like Catherine and Sean. You didn't see their relationship blossom super over the top throughout the show. That was probably the last season I couldn't put my finger on 100% because they definitely clicked, and they had subtle chemistry and subtle dates, but they went so well and they knew each other and they clicked more than anyone. And when you watch back that season, if you do or if you can, you'll see that. And I think that's what Peter and Rachel have. They might not have the same job or so much in common. They definitely feed off of each other though. You know, he has what she needs and she has what he needs, and they click. I do feel like Eric loves her, and I do think that he thinks he loves her and he's happy and he's like, oh, this is the girl of my dreams, but I think he's still putting her on a pedestal, thinking of her as this is the girl of my dreams, and I think that Bryan's thinking of her as this is a prize, this is, you know, this is the way I'm going to be successful. And I think that Peter actually views her as an equal, as a person, doesn't put her on a pedestal. He's not saying he's in love with her from day one. He's being realistic, and anyone who's mad at Peter for being like, oh, I'm not going to propose, I think that they're ridiculous, and that's like what he's saying is completely relevant to real life, and it's something that actually is real. I kind of am mad at her, like, to be honest. I'm thinking right now that Peter deserves better than Rachel, and I love Rachel, but what she's saying is making no sense. That I also take engagement really seriously and only want to be engaged once and married once, but yet she still needs an engagement at the end of this. And I get that it's annoying because if you don't get engaged at the end, there's like a more of a chance that you're going to break up. But I think that Peter's being super realistic, and maybe that's not as romantic, but I think he's level-headed and he's thinking of this in terms of real life. He's thinking of this in terms of after the show, of, you know, I know we're in a bubble right now, and I want to make sure I know you well enough. Like, you don't know someone that well after that time. Yes, sometimes marriages do last. I think Peter's parents, right? They got married after so many weeks. And yes, sometimes that works. Sometimes it lasts, and that's great, but that's not always the case. And I think Peter's aware of that, and he doesn't want to take that chance. And I know that that's not as romantic, but I think he's being more realistic, and I do think he will propose because he'll see that he doesn't want to lose her, and this is the way to not lose her. And I really hope that they end up together really in real life, not just get engaged on the show. I think she is smart enough to realize that Peter is the guy for her. Peter is the one that has been in tune to her the most. And the fact that they're having this fight proves to me that they I don't know, that they have more stability somehow. The thing that ABC is doing to make us think it's not Peter is just ABC, and I think that it's definitely Peter. I trust him. I think he's very trustworthy. I think he's very honest. He could just not say all of this. You know, he could go in and say, I am going to propose, I'm so excited, and say all the things that Bryan's saying, and he could say all that, and then, you know, he doesn't want to, though. He doesn't want to say all that and do all that and get engaged to only break up a few weeks later. He doesn't want to have that happen. He wants to be 100% sure, but it's going to be like a bumpy road. And I think with Eric, I like Eric. I think that they really are good together. I do. I think that if Peter wasn't in the picture, she probably would pick Eric because he makes her feel young. I think that he's fun, and I think that she's on a lot of the time. She's very smart, she's very put together, and I think that Eric makes her feel like she can kind of relax more. I think she feels very comfortable with Eric, and I think that her and Eric have a chemistry and a funness, but I think it's more of like a young love, having fun thing. I don't think that if they had a real problem that they could solve it together. And I know that they've had their bump in the road in the past, but I think that that went away so quickly, and it kind of just like sailed away into the distance, and I don't know that they could handle real life problems off of the show. I think they are a really great couple for the show, but not for real life terms. And I don't even want to talk about Bryan anymore. Like, I just cannot wait to not see him. But I think that with Peter, I think they're both mature people, and they can make it work. You know, they fit, I think, and you can see them in that episode where she spent 3 hours in the hot tub with him. Don't think that it's as obvious that it's Peter. I feel like so many people think it's gonna be Bryan, and if it's Bryan, I'm gonna be pissed. The fact that Peter's saying he doesn't like Bryan makes me happy. He sees the not genuineness of him. He sees the way he talks, the way he carries himself, and that it's just not, there's something off. That's just my suggestion and my predictions. I'm really excited. Make sure you follow me on Twitter to hear all my updates about the show and Paradise and everything like that. I'm excited to see who the Bachelor is going to be. Let me know. That's something you can let me know in the comments, who you think the next Bachelor is going to be. Let me know if you like these videos for the finale and the like beginning part. I can do one every season if you want. If you like this, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!